Hello and welcome to What the Lux with me, Fred Moore.
And me, Anand Sharma.
Together we lead Matter of Form, a design consultancy specialising in brand, digital experience and content. And this is a podcast that calls time on tired ideas of luxury.
Alongside industry luminaries and thought leaders, we explore what truly defines category-leading products and services.
Holmes Bespoke has become one of the most interesting voices in contemporary interiors, a studio where texture carries narrative weight and where rugs are treated with the same artistic intent as couture garments. Behind it is Laylah Holmes, whose path from fashion to interiors to founding her own atelier has shaped a design language that's both meticulous and quietly expressive. Today we're unpacking the craft, the discipline and the long-termist thinking behind her work, and why the spaces we inhabit demand more from the materials that ground them. Laylah, welcome to What the Lux.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, me too. I can't wait to get into this topic. We've had a few stars from this sort of world in recently, but never rugs, I don't think.
There we go. First for everything.
And there's a lot to unpack. I think some unusual things about the way these wonderful items are made that will intrigue people. But the first one is, we'll talk about Holmes Bespoke, but firstly, you started your career in fashion. It'd be really interesting to hear how you got into starting your own business and into this world.
So my degree was in fashion design. I was always very interested in art, design. My mum's an artist, so I kind of grew up in a creative household. Ended up in fashion, did fashion design as my degree, and then went on to work for different fashion houses like first Vivienne Westwood, then Ralph Lauren. And I think it was really at Ralph Lauren where I found my love of homeware. So I worked in the head office above their New Bond Street store, and I used to creep down at lunch and go and have a look in the home department because I just loved it so much. And I learned a lot about luxury during my time there. And then when I guess I got to a certain point in my life, I was buying my first home. I just got so obsessed with homeware and decorating, and I started doing it on the side. I did an interior design course, and then I was more and more interested in that kind of world. So I decided to kind of move across from fashion to interiors, and it wasn't long before I just found my love of rugs.
Yeah, how do you find a love of rugs? They're beautiful, and obviously you walk on them every day. But
I guess because I'd come from textiles and fashion, and it's kind of transitional across from all of those textures and those colours and the weaving. You can see how that can move across into rugs, and then rugs. I just have always felt like a room. If you walk into a room and there's no rug, it feels cold. And
yes.
I think rugs can kind of do so much. They can ground a space. They can add obviously warmth, comfort. They can kind of zone areas. They're very good for acoustics. So there's so many things that rugs bring, and they're like artwork really for the floor.
Yeah. And so you say that's interesting because you say they're they are art-led pieces. Mm-hmm. What does that mean in the context of a rug?
So,
by the way, I should say for the listeners who aren't watching this on YouTube, you've very kindly schlepped across London, and we've got some samples here. So at some point, perhaps we can show them to the camera, and we can go into it a bit more. Some people won't get to see that, go listening, but we can.
I wanted to bring a few to show you, just because it's so nice to kind of see. There's so many options. It's really hard I couldn't carry many, but I've got a little selection here to show you. But they really are. I mean, for me, it's so creative. You can literally, some of my collections, if not, all of them have come from actual art. So a painting, a line drawing, a mixed media.
Is that literal interpretation, or is it a kind of thematic?
Exactly. So my first collection, the Elements collection, was inspired by nature, but I quite like to be a bit different. It's organic. It's not going to be a literal a tree on a rug. But so for that collection, there was things like, I did some photographs of bark, and then I changed the colorways, and then I painted into them, and then I kind of perhaps did some line drawing on top, and then chose the textures and the fibers and sampled them. So you almost don't see where the inspiration came from, but there is an element or a feeling in it that it's come from nature. But I definitely didn't want it to be literal.
And how would you describe your kind of just general artistic inspiration, or you as a creative? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
So I love life. I love travel. I love nature. I love there's so many things that I see as inspiration. Just going to a new city and seeing the architecture, or a new place and seeing, beautiful scenes. And, my latest collection is called Meet Me in Como. And it's inspired by one of my favourite places, which is Lake Como, Italy. And there's so many kind of amazing things to be inspired by just, not just the lake itself and the mountains around the lake, but, the cobbles. And so one of our rugs is it's called Menagio, and it's inspired by the cobblestones as you're walking along just the promenade by the lake. And it's just like that beautiful kind of architecture that you see in that kind of almost faded glamour in Italy. I wanted to kind of put that across in the collection.
Yes.
So anything can be inspiration, really.
Yeah. So there's the red thread that kind of connects everything is you, I suppose, and how you experience the world. There's not necessarily that you can be put into a box.
Yeah, I guess that's it. And, I love art. So often inspired by art, by music, by, anything that kind of gives me emotion or makes me feel something.
Yeah.
And that's what I want my kind of rugs to do for somebody, is make them feel good about themselves or about the space that they're in.
Yeah. When you started the company, did you sort of see intentionally a gap, or was it more of an organic, I just love this and I want to do it?
A bit of both. When I started the company, the market was very different to now. There was quite a lot of masculine energy in the carpet and rug world.
Right.
So I kind of felt like I wanted to bring something slightly different. Also bringing that kind of fashion element into it, and kind of making, I don't know, it was, I guess, then, this is, looking back almost, 10 years, it was very different. I think now there's so many interesting companies. There's so much more around. I think, just have, Instagram has brought like the world to our door. So there is so much more available. But at the time, it felt quite boring.
Yes.
And I wanted to bring something a bit different, and something with life, and something kind of, just a bit different, I guess.
Yeah. We'll get to your customers or clients, but what would be, let's get into the details. So I'm looking here at a very different range of designs, but also a different range of materials.
Mm-hmm.
What I think, so I reckon there'll be some people who haven't probably thought about how rugs are made, and they might suspect that some of your designs could be made by a machine. True or false?
False.
Right.
So everything we do is completely handmade. So from the dyeing of the yarn, to the setting up of the looms, to the weaving or the knotting or the tufting of the rugs, to, the finishing. So the carving, or anything that's, shearing at the end of, when we're kind of, all of the binding is done by literally with a needle and a thread at the end of, once the rug is finished. So there is not one part of it that's done by a machine. Even the rolling and the packing and the, when we install. So it's really important that we are, also want to be very sustainable. So we try to do everything by hand, and then any wastage we use for resampling, or we will use again in another rug. So, there's lots of, I guess, advantages to being a handmade product.
Yeah. And the core materials range from wool to, which has its own sort of characteristics, I suppose, and durability, to actually recycled plastic, which I think is just incredible, because you couldn't just pick up the plastic one and just because how is that plastic? Explain to us.
So this is amazing. So this is actually made from recycled, we call it recycled PET. So it's recycled plastics. Quite often from plastic bottles that have been collected and cleaned. And it's an amazing fibre that we use for, it's great for children's room. I actually have this rug in my daughter's room, which is amazing because she loves drawing. So you could have pen on it and you can easily get it off. So it's really easy to clean. It's fade resistant. It's water resistant. So we use it for things like spas, for kind of beach clubs or villas. So if you've got wet feet running in and out, it's perfect. It's very quick drying. So it's a really good sustainable material. It's also, this one is actually hand knotted, so there's no backing.
Yeah.
But, equally, I absolutely love wool, and I will quite often, say to my clients, yes, you could use a recycled product, but actually you've got something that's really sustainable and natural in wool, which is almost just as durable and completely biodegradable. So, I love wool too. We also use bamboo silk quite often, which kind of gives you that gorgeous sheen as silk does. But again, it's sustainable. So bamboo grows really quickly and easily.
Yeah.
And it's more cost effective.
That's incredible. And the flourishes of hand tufted or etc. Can you just describe quickly what that means?
Yes. So hand tufted, which you'll see here, this is a hand tufted rug. This is actually one of my watercolor paintings, and you've got wool in the background here and silk here in the design. You've got about, I don't know, maybe 8 colors, shades of blue within this rug. So the thing with hand tufting, it's really versatile. So they use a little tufting gun. So we'll literally draw a huge canvas of the design. So you can have any design. It doesn't have to be linear. It doesn't have to go on a warp or a weft. It can be really, really unique. So it's drawn on a big canvas. It's pinned up, and then you tuft through from the back to the front. And then afterwards, we can add things like carving to give it texture.
Yes.
And there can be loop pile and cut pile. So you can even add things like, some nice metallic thread. There's all sorts you can do. There's different levels here. So you could have like some shag pile, some loop pile, some cut pile. So it's a really amazing, versatile technique. And I think it's
and what's clear is that the person doing this is clearly highly, highly skilled.
very skilled, yeah.
You don't just wake up one day, you're able to do that.
No, it takes years. To get these perfect lines. And this is almost done with almost if you imagine a little shaver shaving.
Yeah.
So it's super, super delicate to get that perfect. And once you can't go back and erase and start again, because you'd have to make the whole rug again.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Very skilled work. And then there's hand knotted, which is basically it's done on a loom. Every single little knot is done by hand. So you get different qualities. This is about 60 knots per square inch, but we can go up to kind of 200 or 300 knots for very, very intricate pieces, which take a very long time to make.
Yeah.
Or you can go down to kind of something more like a 20 knot if you want something that's just a very simple, relaxed look.
Yeah. And tell me about the countries where these are made and the people who are making them. I presume you get to know them really well. The friendships develop over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. You become like family. And I've worked with the same families since I started the business. So we make some in Nepal, some in India, and some in China, depending on the technique. But yeah, you do. I speak to them every day. They have family, exciting things in the family, like babies are born, or, I'm invited to these lovely things. It's a special relationship because you're basically in business together and you're working together, on a daily basis. So it's really important that you understand each other.
Yeah, it must be a really lovely part of the job, that getting to know these parts of the world, these people. And
it's lovely. It's hard to find the right people, but once you do, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing most of your clients are the interior designers or interior design firms who are then themselves working on either big commissions, or be they hotels or be they private residences. Is that right?
Exactly. So we work with some of the best interior designers in the world. We have some amazing designers here in London, and they do projects everywhere. So we're very lucky to be here in London working with some of the best, because we end up doing projects all over the world with those designers. So we do lots of private residential, but we also do yachts, which is really exciting. We're working on 3 super yachts at the moment. 2 of which will be at Monaco Yacht Show next year. And then we work on hotels as well. So we've done really big hotels with, names like the Hoxton.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done really gorgeous, exciting, big projects. But then we could also work on like a gorgeous, residential home in London where it's very personal and you're working with the individual.
Yeah.
So most of our work, I guess, to date has come through interior designers, but more and more as the brand kind of becomes more known, we've got individuals that come.
And why do you think you're getting such traction and success with these people? It's kind of obvious, I suppose, looking at them, but
I think.
But I assume it's more than just its design, but then there's also I suppose people demand other things as well these days around sustainability or.
Yeah, definitely. I think also we are a creative team, so we are designers. So there's lots of rug companies out there, I think, who are selling a product, but they may not be designers. They might not give the service we give. So it's very personal for me. So when I work on a project, they're getting me and my design. So I will literally spend, time in the property with the client, choosing the colours, drawing the artwork. So it's a process. And I think people want that as much as they want, it's not just about buying a rug, I guess, when it's at this level. It's about the whole experience.
Yeah. And also I think, like you say, the personalization or the custom element. Certainly we're close to hotels, and it's almost like an arms race of trying to get better and better each time, and hanging your hat on good design in a hotel. So you have to go the extra mile on every detail. And obviously what you step on is a hugely important part of that, in the room or outside.
I think so too. And I think, people are becoming more and more interested in design. And, people will, when they go to stay in a hotel, want to go and stay somewhere where they're inspired. So I know I've just come back from a trip to Dubai, actually. And where we were staying, I was looking at every little detail in the room because, you're interested in who's designed the space, where the art's from, where the rug's from. And so I think more and more hotels are starting to kind of think about that rather than just budget.
I know. And what's the more boutique a hotel, the more, I suppose, the more understandable it is that it has an incredible design. I think it's really interesting when you get into big hotels and you still get that sense of, wow, this is incredibly well designed, be it artwork, be it interiors, be it the rugs, whatever.
Definitely. But
it's a really hard one to pull off.
Comes really hard.
Scale.
I think one of the biggest projects we did was the Hoxton in Barcelona. I think we did around 550 pieces across the hotel. So we did a tapestry in every single room that sat behind the headboard and a rug in each room, plus all the public areas. And then we did all the signage across the hotel. So when you came out of the lift, when you come out of the lift there, you'll see a tapestry that says which floor you're in.
Yeah.
And that's all been hand woven. So that's in our hand woven quality, which is this one here. But it's, it's got the floor number woven in raised detail. So all of that was designed. We designed that together with the team. So yeah, that was a really exciting project to work on, and a very big project. But such a great team, because they'd really thought about all of those elements, and not just, gone for the same piece everywhere. It was quite, unique. The different rooms had different styles. There was different levels of style.
Yeah.
So,
and who's the channel? Is it you who are the channel for that kind of creative interpretation or the customization? Is that you, or is it the team?
It's quite often a collaboration. So I guess it really depends on the project. Some clients will come to me with a piece of inspiration, and they'll say to me, oh, could you interpret this and give me some designs inspired by this?
Yeah.
Some will come and say, we have designed this. Can you make it? And some will come and just show me the scheme. So they'll show me the color scheme, the fabrics within the scheme, and say, can you completely design something from scratch? So there's lots of different ways that we work, and we can do all of those. I mean, I love it when someone comes and gives me the opportunity to design completely from scratch. That's amazing for me. But either way, it's normally quite collaborative.
And I've asked this before to a fashion designer, but do you awake in the middle of the night and a sort of a new theme or a new design or a new thought comes to you? Or do you have to sort of sit down between 9 and 5 and think hard about it? Or is it just always there and everywhere, the inspiration?
I think it's kind of there. I mean, it does often come from something in my life. I mean, we launched a collection last year called Hidden Gems, which was all inspired by gemstones and crystals. And
yes,
this is, you can see a few of them in these images here.
One
of the quartz rug, and this is called the blue diamond. This is the fire opal rug. So there, these rugs in this collection, again, they were hand painted, but we had all of these gorgeous gemstones and crystals that I love in interiors. I think crystals look amazing in interiors. If you just have one beautiful piece amongst, other ceramics or something, they're just amazing. They come out of the earth looking like that.
Yes.
And so it's just there, and it's inspiration. The colors are gorgeous. So it's very easy to find that kind of inspiration in nature. So for that collection, I wanted something really calming, that would make a serene, calming space. And it's been super popular. People have absolutely loved it. And I think because maybe it makes them feel a certain way in a space, and I think, I guess that's the thing. It's really important in your home to feel calm and relaxed.
I'm interested, because obviously there's a commercial side to what you do, and there are trends. We all see them. Do you ever it's a terrible thing to be in trend, in vogue one year and then out the next. And I think taste and good aesthetics survive that cycle. But do you ever bend yourself slightly to trends, or would you create a design or use techniques or a material that responds, I suppose, to commercial demand rather than the first point being artistic merit?
It's a funny question because coming from fashion, where it's very trend-led and it's very seasonal and it changes all the time, to interiors, it's obviously much slower in interiors. Obviously, there are trends, but I don't feel they influence me. I'm very much, I want to make rugs that are timeless and that last. I don't, part of what we do is to create something that we want almost to be handed to the next generation. I want it to last a lifetime. I don't want to create something that's, a quick, replaceable piece that's going to kind of, I guess go threadbare in a year. That's not what I want to do. I want to create something that's going to last. But funnily enough, with trends, I've been lucky enough to kind of design something and then somehow it's ended up being on trend.
So your tastemaker is the problem.
I don't know about that, but I don't know. It's funny how these things happen because I designed the latest collection, Meet Me in Como, and it was completely, it was actually designed because I got married in Lake Como 10 years ago, and it was for our 10th wedding anniversary, and it was kind of, we actually took lots of friends and family back there this summer, and it was all, it's just such an inspiring place. So I launched that collection this October, and then funnily enough started to see suddenly, I don't know why, but then a couple of other people in the industry have launched Como inspired collections, and so I don't know how it kind of happens, but somehow, I don't know, it's just one of those things, isn't it?
I think we were talking a bit about this before the podcast started, about the UK at the moment, which is not an overall wholly optimistic place, certainly if you read the papers. But what's amazing is that I think in the creative industries, it's still an amazing place to do business. You have a platform to sell to the rest of the world, which I know you're doing, and it's kind of positive on that front. Do you find that? Being from London or the UK?
No, absolutely. I think we have such a unique style. I think Britain, England, London, I honestly feel like we are the best in terms of design. I really do. I think, when you go elsewhere, I'm never as inspired as I am in London. I think we have so many amazing creatives here.
Yeah.
And I think that people see that. When you go to America, I think they love British brands. I think, coming back from Dubai, I think they love British brands there. Mm-hmm. I think we need to try to hold on to that and kind of encourage each other and stay positive. I think Walpole's a great place to do that, and it's great that they support us British brands. But I think we're pretty good.
I'd agree with that. And there's a lot of good news. There's a lot of good news stories that people don't get to read about, which is sad. Which is still.
Hopefully things will improve. And we were chatting before we started here about how I think the last 6 months has definitely been a bit more positive.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, by next summer we'll be best in the world again.
I suppose that someone in your position, you're almost invariably thinking about what's next and how to move on in some form of innovation, be that in a design aesthetic or a material, or maybe new products that aren't rugs. Mm-hmm. Tell me what's on your mind on that front.
So we did actually just launch, the same time as the Como collection, a collection called In Bloom, which are these flowers. They're basically poppies that hang on the wall. So they can also be rugs, of course, but they were designed as tapestries. So we do tapestries. This is the first, I guess we've collaborated lots on tapestries, but this is the first collection that I've designed uniquely in-house, which I really enjoyed. And I think when we actually launched it at Decorex this year, and people really loved it and had an amazing response. So tapestries. I've also collaborated with various brands on different furniture pieces. So last year we did a gorgeous day bed and some stools with one of our rug designs upholstered, which was really popular. We've done cushions and throws, but I still come back to rugs. I think rugs is really what I love designing, but I think I'm always open to new, exciting collaborations and doing something different. I think it's interesting, keeps you kind of fresh and interested and inspired, doesn't it?
And then just zooming out, obviously we're a podcast about luxury. You'll remember, like us, of Walpole, here in the UK, the luxury group, I suppose. What's your definition of luxury? And I think we touched on it a little bit in some previous answers, but how would you define luxury? We always ask this.
I think luxury is not just a product, it's an experience.
Yeah.
I think it's something timeless. It's something that's going to last, something that means something to you. I think, again, it's something bespoke and something, and to create something that you have been part of designing and have that in your home and that it's completely unique and nobody else has it is quite special. And I think that's probably my definition of luxury.
Hugely special. And also actually just the point as well you mentioned before about just how long these things last and what a false economy it is to buy cheap stuff that doesn't. And over a lifetime, it's actually very good value as well.
Yeah, exactly. And, this is something we notice actually in the hotel industry is that often, especially in these very large scale hotels, they will go, for something that's cost effective, and then they have to replace them in a year, maybe 2 years, which actually means that they are spending more and the wastage is absolutely huge. So, we try to explain that if you choose a Homes Bespoke rug and you design something with us and we will work with you to make sure that the fibers and the construction is right. We can stain protect, we can add special backing. There's so many things we can do to increase the lifespan of the rugs as well. So, we work really closely with the client on the area where the rug's going to be and what it needs to, how durable it needs to be. So, we've worked with clients on, say, bar areas where there's a lot of red wine drunk, and so we will design a rug almost in those kind of that palette. So there's things you can do to kind of make sure that the rug is going to last and stay looking as good as possible for as long as possible.
Yeah, the bit of your definition of luxury that is rightly like that personal customized element, which just means so much to you. If someone's invested the time to work with you to interpret, bend your design wheels to their space. Where's the tipping point between volume and commercial success and keeping that special element of what you do? This must be really hard. What would you never do, I suppose? Or can you always maintain an element of bespoke or customization?
I think luckily I can, because everything we do is handmade.
Okay.
So even if we were to do a huge hotel of 1,000 rugs, every single one is made by hand. So even if they are all almost the same design, they will all be slightly different.
Yeah. Okay.
So, we've done that before where we've actually did a hotel here in London last year, and I think there was 270 rugs, and they were the same design, but they're all woven individually. So they are, and by hand, by artisan. So they will have their unique, that kind of personality of the artisan woven into each rug. So it's not going to be something that is mass produced on a machine where they're all exactly the same. They're still, we can deliver scale, but it's still going to be unique and handmade. So I think that still means it's special and luxury.
And who are your influences? Maybe, I don't know if there's anyone directly in the kind of high-end rug space, or in the world of interiors or fashion or adjacent industries, who really inspires you? Who do you think's doing amazing stuff?
Question, because I don't actually look to my competitors for inspiration. I don't look to my competitors much because I feel like I don't want to be influenced by them.
Yeah, not out of disrespect, more out of that you might end up subconsciously aping them, which is not what you want.
Exactly. So I've always wanted to be quite different and not follow the crowd. So, I respect all, every one of my competitors. I think they're amazing. And, when I meet them and I see them at different shows or events, I'm very interested to have a conversation and be friends. But I tend not to look at what they're doing because, absolutely, that's the reason. I don't want to copy them or subconsciously. But inspiration, I mean, there's so many. It would be really hard for me to pinpoint one person. I think I'm really inspired by all of my clients. I have so many different clients, amazing interior designers who, do so many different projects, from really, textural, vibrant country homes to really sleek penthouses. So like so many different styles, like, glamorous super yacht to Ibiza villa, so all very, very different, but all with a unique style. So I'm often inspired by my clients, I'd say.
Yes. Yeah. Laylah, thank you. That was an amazing overview of what you do and the incredible things you create. But we do also ask everyone on this show the same 4 questions at the end of the interview.
Okay.
So I'm afraid you're going to get put in the seat like everyone else. The first question is, what would you most like to change about your industry?
I think I'd like people do collaborate lots, and I think people are very open, but I think it would be nice to have more of that. I think there is still a lot of competition in London. It's quite fierce, and I think it'd be quite nice if we all kind of were a little bit more collaborative. And
You're saying the industry is a bit bitchy.
I guess a little. It would be nice if that's business, isn't it? But
okay. Yeah. And what most, this is a more general question, not necessarily related to what you do, what most concerns you about the world we're leaving the next generation?
I think there's definitely a lot of consumption and waste. And I think that's something we're trying to guide and, I guess, teach people about when we talk about our products and what we can do and why they're special. And yes, there is a price attached, but that's because you're getting something that's hopefully going to last you for a very long time. So I'd like to educate people more on that and hopefully mean that there's less really cheap plastic rugs in landfill.
Yes. If you had to give up your job tomorrow, you're not allowed to do this, what would you do?
That's really tricky because I actually really love it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking if you'd said, what would you do if you gave up? I would say I would just start another rug company. But if you say I'm not allowed to do that,
you're not allowed to.
I think I'd want to design something.
Yeah.
So whether it be something else in the home, I guess tricky. I don't homeware.
That's okay. No, you said that you're allowed to design something.
Lighting, actually. Lighting.
Okay.
I mean, it's very different, of course. But I think lighting is one of the other very, very important items within a space. It changes the mood.
Yeah.
It's, if I go into a restaurant and the lighting's bad, you don't want to sit there, do you? Lighting makes you feel a certain way.
Yes.
So I think lighting, maybe.
Okay, so the ceiling and the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, understood. And the final question, and a bit of a riff off perhaps the what's next thing we asked earlier, but what's the most exciting thing for you in the next 5 years?
I think growing the brand internationally, working on, big, exciting projects like super yachts. I think, projects where you get to be really, really creative and learn. I mean, I love learning and experiencing new things. So to work with new clients on completely new projects that I've not, perhaps like your private jet, that would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's so many things I haven't done that I'd like to do. So just growing the brand, doing more internationally, and working with new exciting clients.
Brilliant. Laylah, thank you so much for coming in today and for that conversation.
Thank you. It's been really, really fun. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening. This has been What the Lux. You can find us on socials at Much Reform. And drop us any questions or comments on Twitter using the hashtag #WhatTheLux. Or if you're a luxury brand looking for strategy and design that goes beyond the banal, get in touch via hello@muchreform.com and chat to one of our consultants.